What is so important about patience? Well, it's one thing to just enter a trade when you got your setup. It's another thing to be patient when you don't have a setup, because that's the hardest part of trading. I just set down the computer here and I was looking to put a trade on, and well, as you can see, we've already kind of made this break to the downside there, right? We've had our consolidation, our bear flag. We broke through that 18,500 level, and now we're moving on down. We got this 18,400 area down there next. The problem with just randomly getting short is not so much to say that you're going to be wrong that this goes down, right? It's not to say that you're not going to be wrong or right. It's more so just thinking about like your risk to reward. So as of right now, like trying to get short right here, there is always a chance that this thing kind of pops back up, chops back up there, hits that 500 level again. So risking 30 points, 40 points here, I just don't want to do that. So I know that if I'm patient and I wait, that there will be another little setup, another little bear flag, something to give me a better overall risk to reward. So right now we're looking at the 1 minute chart, and we're going to see if we can kind of get stuck below this 18,500 level. Like right now, okay, perfect. A little bit of a push back up there. So we want to be looking, this previous area of resistance here at the 90s, kind of looking for that to act as resistance here and push back up. Instead of getting short at the 60s, much better option to get short up here at the 80s, this previous area. So let's try to play into that idea, that bear flag playing out here. So we're going to grab some short right there at the 79s now. And the great thing is, my stop again is 18,500, kind of like right there. That's my stop. And you can see how if I rushed into this trade, I probably would have jumped in down there at the 60s thinking it was just going to continue straight down, right? I would have been like, I'm just going to FOMO into it, get emotional, and I'm going to jump right in there. And as you can see, now I don't even need this to break all the way to the downside to get my 10 points here. I can put my stop right there to 88s, and we should get filled. Look at that. Got filled right away. Again, just playing into this idea that we're going to push back up. There's a very high chance that whenever we break to the downside or to the upside, just get rid of everything here. Let's look. All right, this previous area of support there, kind of the bottom of those candles, those wicks right there. Look at how the market, even though we broke through there, the market pushed back up and tested that level again. So I kind of give myself a rule that if we don't kind of retest a certain level, then there's a pretty good chance that we're going to retest it. So I'm trying to stay out of that area where I might get pushed out of, or I get squeezed out of. Like right now it's starting to push back up here. But just think about it, like looking here, like here's a good example. So we had this resistance right here, right? We break to the upside, and yeah, maybe I want to go crazy and I just want to jump in right away. But I know that there's a very good chance that that we're going to form, some type of small flag. We're going to retest an area before really getting that better move. And look at how that played out. That big green candle hits up into that resistance, pulls back, gets our little bull flag going, right? We got our little bull flag going there. And then we get the break. Look how beautiful that is. So you can really just kind of start out. I like to start on the 2 minute chart. And then when price action gets like really tight at a level, we can go to a smaller time frame and get that confirmation on the 1 minute chart there for a better flag opportunity. If we look at the 15 minute chart here as well, you can see that kind of breakout potential for that move up. But again, it's like every little move up always kind of gets a retracement. 15 minute pretty much always expects like kind of pulling back into the previous, the middle of that half of that previous big candle breakout for a flag setup. It's just, again, playing into the fact that we know that the market loves to move in a wave. So it's like right here, what do you think what's the most logical kind of thing to happen here? Knowing that the market moves in waves, there's a pretty good chance that we kind of bear flag here some before moving down. So again, avoiding trying to short on the bottom of these candles, because I know that there's a very high chance, because I follow the mantra of the market moving in waves. So here we're almost like breaking to the downside there. If we break below the low of this candle, 66, I might take a short here. Let's see if we get it. Supposed to be making these videos and not trading, but it's hard to make these videos for the course and not to trade, because I'm looking at the price action and I'm like, oh, it's about to break. It's about to break. So still waiting. No reason to do anything here until we start to get below the low of these candles right here for our little mini bear flag to continue lower. It's kind of funny too, like if you zoom out or zoom in too much, you kind of just see this, right? You don't really see like the idea of the wave, but then the more you zoom out, the more you see it. You're like, oh, looks a lot more clear now, right? Kind of market just moving in those waves. Always just moving in waves, man. Look at it, just the patience. It's kind of funny when it's like going sideways, but I think right now this break to the downside sends us lower. So at this point, we just need to clear out these wicks here and we take out that low down there. So I'll be looking for a break through these two little wicks, 69s, to get in there. Again, kind of bouncing. No reason to do anything here yet. Being patient. I'm waiting. I'm watching. Starting to sell a little bit. Let me get some body through those wicks. Give me some body through those wicks. Just like that. Look at that. And look at how that just pushed back up. So now I'm watching it. Do I want to short? This might be a little trap. It's too much. See, a little trap right there. Patience. You'll see how patient I am on this. I was waiting. I just didn't believe that move right there. So now kind of chopping both ways. So if this candle really gets going here, we should start to sell. Now that we just retested that high as well. Or that little 80 area retested there on this candle. This is the 1 minute chart. Let's see where this candle goes. Not very convincing, but I'm going to grab a short here. Really kind of speeding up to get through that level now. So we can target below the 50s here. Right below the 50s. And the reason I'm looking below the 50s is you can just kind of play into that whole kind of 50 half or whatever you want to call it number playing out there. There we go. Getting filled. Look at how beautifully that played out. Patience again. We saw, like, it's hard to, I guess, really explain it in words, but it's more of just like experience, right? We see these little like fake outs, and then look how it like faked out back to the upside. So once we saw that it fake out happened back to the upside, back above this 81 level, then I'm like, oh, now it's looking really good to give me my move down. And again, I'm not being overly aggressive right here, because if I look at the bigger picture, what do we got? You know, it's not beautiful down here. There's a chance we kind of bounce around here, chop around some more. So I'm trying to just take my profit when I got it. There from the 64s down to the 48s. Again, you know, patience, just taking these little moves here and there. And just kind of really trying to get across the idea for you guys that you really just want to kind of see the move before it happens. Not so much trying to predict what the move's happening, but kind of looking at the trend, being like, okay, I'm looking at the trend here. I see what's going on. Earlier, perfect example of that, right? So earlier this move, look at the bear flag here. It kind of pops back up, breaks right below the low of this candle right there. Being that 82, the low in that candle is 80. And then look how it popped back up and then broke to the downside. So seeing that type of price action, it makes me be a little bit more patient. And also a little quicker to take profit, right? Don't need to go chasing Don't need to go chasing waterfalls. We don't need to go chase every little move that happens. Right now, maybe I'm doing a little bit more than I want to be because I think this bear breakdown there was beautiful as an example. Again, right now, you just expect that each little flag, a bear flag, a bull flag, each little flag, there's, 40, 50 points, 100 points in between those, and then consolidation, and then another expansion. Consolidation, expansion. So in between those areas, you got to be patient. You got to be waiting. You got to be looking at the chart and just pretty much just doing nothing. Doing nothing is almost harder than doing something. I know it's crazy to say, but it's so easy with trading to just mentally want to always be in a trade because you're looking at the chart and you're like, okay, it's going to go lower. It's going to go lower. I'm going to get in. And it's so hard to stop yourself from always feeling you have to be in the trade. I always have to be in a trade. Right now, like this is a perfect example of just kind of in this chop zone here. Choppy McChopperson. It's Friday. Could we bounce here, start to push back up? Possibly. When the market's trending and it's all easy breezy, it's great. But again, look how great this is playing out. Maybe we get a little bit bigger of a bear flag before the move down. We need some momentum, right? Some momentum to the upside to create that momentum to the downside. Patience, waiting, seeing your setup before it happens, looking for that opportunity, and just being a student of the chart. And I'm probably the worst person to give advice on being a student of the chart because I love to just go crazy. But the longer and longer that I've done this, the more I look back and I'm like, man, if there was one thing that I could have just really drove home, if there was one thing that I really could have learned in the beginning, was patience. It would have really saved me a lot of heartache and losses and issues because mentally I'm allowed to be patient, right? Like I'm allowed to be patient mentally, and that allows my mental, my psyche, my emotion to be like, hey, the market's moving right now, but it don't matter. It doesn't matter if the market's moving because I don't have a setup. I need a setup. Once the setup forms, then I can take a trade. Until then, it's just being patient and waiting, doing nothing. That's all it really comes down to.